Over the years, I've helped foreign buyers from around the world purchase real estate in Toronto, Canada. However, a recent experience in Phuket, Thailand, I think is going to make me more sensitive to my foreign buyers' needs. Let me try to explain this. So there I was at my resort in Phuket. I'm probably feeling the exact same way that many of my past clients have felt, being in an unfamiliar place, trying to find an agent who's trustworthy and who can get me up to speed on the local market. Now, before I had the chance to connect with the local agent, I noticed the weather forecasts had been changing, the wind was going to be picking up, so I called a local kite school in Rawai, and I asked them if they had some gear that would suit me. I found out they did, and I told them I'd be right over. On the drive back from the beach with the owner of the kite school, we started chatting about the local real estate market. He mentioned that he serves with several of the local agents and promised me he'd put me in touch with one of the local agents that he knew and trusted. After a few exchanges on WhatsApp, I'd locked down an appointment with this guy.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to bring a couple people by.
It's fun for the first 2 hours, and then you can't go to 7-Eleven without getting drenched. Yeah. It's typical Thai crazy, just, you can't do that in America. You know, the clock's ticking, and I still don't know what my wife's talking about.
So that's David Mays. David's been living in Phuket now for over 20 years. He speaks Thai. He's originally from Syracuse, New York. He has a background in finance, and he is an absolute wealth of knowledge when it comes to the local market. Have you ever heard the saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity? For Phuket, this seems to be very true. Listen to what David has to say as he shares his recollection of the 2004 tsunami, what happened afterwards, and how it's changed the real estate market there forever.
And minimal, there was tourism here, but it was not known globally. And then the tsunami kind of really put...
You're telling me the tsunami is good for business?
It was basically global advertising nonstop for months after the tsunami happened.
That's wild.
And the real estate market took up and it's never looked back since then.
So, like, by the time the tsunami happened, or the earthquake happens before the tsunami wave gets here, you're talking hours and hours and hours and hours. It isn't like it happens then. Yeah, most of the buildings stood, like, it was mainly what would knock down buildings would be the, like a car that was on the front road would get smashed into some of the structural posts. Your Rawai, this area here, it came across, because there's a big coral shelf outside of Rawai. So the tsunami hit the coral shelf out there, dissipated most of the energy, and it only crossed the road about this high. So you look at all of Patong, the tsunami didn't actually go in that far there. But the first two roads got smashed. Because it was the morning, everybody goes down to the beach in the morning. It was the day after Christmas. And when the water went out, people had not seen anything like it, so they were all walking out to see rather than running from it. Because it had been like 300 years, so they didn't know that it was even a possibility here. You know, now they've got tsunami towers and radars.
Thailand adopted the metric system back in the 1920s. But as far as land measurements go, they still reference an older anthropic measurement system. So if you're talking about land, likely you're going to hear the term RAI, R-A-I. That's a term that refers to a measurement that's just a little less than half an acre, or about 1,600 square meters. Over the past 20 years, in many of the beach towns around Phuket, the price for a rai of land has increased about 1,500%. That's about 14.5% annually every year for 20 years. When you begin to understand how much foreign investment is pouring into the little beach towns around Phuket, you can see why the prices have been increasing so drastically. It's interesting to see what effect the foreign investment has on the seasonal tourism market and to see how it insulates and protects the local real estate market.
So a good friend of mine bought in 1998 a big chunk, and he was paying about 800,000 baht a rai in the southern part of the island, where now his plot of land, if he wanted to sell it, he could probably fetch anywhere between 12 to 20 million. So 800,000 to 12 million would be 1,500% over 20 years. Well, our company breaks things up by native languages.
Okay.
Or languages. Me and another British guy focus on what we call the English line, which is, you know, your North Americans, your Brits, your South Africans, your Australians.
Okay. Yeah.
And the Aussies represent a pretty big chunk of the buying market here.
Yeah, that would make sense.
They're about number 3. The top at the moment are Chinese. Number 2 would be Russians, and then number 3 would be Australians.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say our company is probably a good breakdown of the proportions, because we have 1 Italian, 2 French, 2 native English speakers, 2 Russians, 4 Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
We have 1 Arabic speaker as well. And we've just got a whole bunch of new direct flights to India opening up. So there's expectation that in the coming years the Indians will start to buy more. Is it a good investment? Because if one group or economy slows down a little bit, there's always seemed to be another one that steps right in and takes its place. So while the financial crisis and the European debt crisis and all that was going on and the Europeans slowed down, Russia was booming. Russian ruble collapsed when the oil price dropped because they're a very resource-dependent economy. Then the Chinese started coming and the Australians started coming in bigger numbers. And then they're on the south. They're south of the equator, so their winter is our summer. So when it's cold in Europe, they come here, and then when it's cold in Australia, they come here. So it smooths out a little bit. Like whereas in the Caribbean, you have only the snowbirds. You know, we've just driven down the beach road in Patong, the #1 tourist town. Most of the developments, the projects that go up here, are almost like you're buying into a hotel. You know, you're buying something that's going to be rented out most of the time to tourists. So often, a lot of the real estate investments in here, people are buying. Maybe will never even stay in them themselves, or if they do, they stay for a couple of weeks a year. They're just more interested in the numbers behind it. Is what are these returns going to give to me?
Yeah.
There's a mix. The #1 developer here in Patong, his father was the mayor for 30 years. And under his watch, basically, this place transformed from what used to be just a small beach road with a couple of dirt roads. The entire backside of the town was fields full of buffalo grazing and rice.
Wow.
Probably will give you the option to do what they sometimes will do is a rental pool.
Yeah.
So they'll take all of the units and they'll put them together. Then based on the proportion of your square meters to the total,
Sure.
they take all the money in and then they take 30%. Which usually pay the expenses out of that 30% as well. And then distribute the rest to the owners. You're usually ending up somewhere between 7 to 10% netting when you're all said and done.
Okay.
They are typically, most of all the new developments on the island sell out far faster than they plan at the moment.
One more really key point that David brought to my attention. Anyone who's searching for real estate in Thailand should start by having a conversation with a real estate agent about the 3 types of ownership that are available. There's leasehold, freehold, and there's an option to own property through a Thai company. Each of those options offer some unique advantages and possibly disadvantages, depending on what you're trying to accomplish as a property owner or investor.
That's kind of what we have to play against, is that what property has what kind of ownership available, what kind of ownership are the people comfortable with. Now, obviously, the ideal customer is indifferent; they don't care.
Sure.
But that's not always the case. You know, in fact, sometimes they actually prefer leasehold because there's tax benefits. So, for instance, if you sell it within less than 5 years, but it's a leasehold, you still don't pay any capital gains taxes. Whereas if you have a foreign freehold condo and you sell it in less than 5 years, you'll be subject to capital gains tax. So only 49% can be the regular straightforward foreign freehold ownership. Then the other 51% either has to be a Thai individual, a Thai company, which a foreigner can own, or leasehold. So in reality, probably 95% of that is owned by foreigners. But they're not all owning it in the same ownership structure.
Finally, let me show you a few highlights from some of the developments I had a chance to tour with David. If you want more information on any of these developments, check out the comment section on my YouTube channel or visit my blog at overasking.tv. Thanks for watching. See you next time.